Hi everyone, welcome back to Viv's One Take Review. Today I'm going to talk about hiking poles and how I go about choosing them. This pair in my hand is the Raidlight Nordic Walk Autoclip-50. You can see the Raidlight brand here. So as some of you might know already, that when I do review, I don't just talk about the product. I mainly try and focus on my research process and what has become my criteria, like what I find out to be more important and less important for me or for everyone in general, so that when you do your research, you know what to consider and what to look out for, how to choose the best product for yourself. So, when I first started my research, I don't really know what should my criteria, and my starting criteria is a bit silly, to be honest. So I said to myself, these are my partner's Andy's hiking poles. He got this from Amazon. It works like it's a pole and lock like this, and it's actually quite a good one. I will put a link below to this one as well. You see, it kind of closes quite easily as well. He's already got this for like about a year or so, and when I search for mine, I just go for just being competitive. I want it to be more lightweight, cheaper, and a better brand than his one is. And when I found these and find that it matches all the criteria, I was like, right, this is the perfect ones. But as I research and try to make sure that's the right decision, I start to realize, well, actually, that is by far like the most silly decision ever. Well, not the most silly decision to buy these, but the most silly to think of those as important criteria. I suppose price and also the brand should still be in consideration. Well, everyone's got a limit to how much they can spend. As for brand, because Lightray give a 2-year warranty, which is always better than buying a random company from Amazon, even though they've got reasonably good review. I'd say warranty and like the reliability of the brand, if you've heard it from a friend that they recommend that brand, is always a good option. But I soon come to realize, after doing a bit of research, that the most important thing for hiking poles is definitely just sturdiness. How much you could rely on the pole taking the whole of your weight, as well as the weight of your backpack when you're crossing river, and like just leaning on it, like kind of just putting your whole life on it, really. So that is definitely the most important criteria to think about. The second one, which is kind of very much linked to the first one, is how will it last, and how will it wear. So it might, to start with, be very sturdy pole, but like if over the years it kind of decays quickly, that's not really what you want. You wouldn't want like some poles that you've trusted for like 2-3 years to suddenly break after some use. The third one I'd think about is the grip, how well the pole grip the ground. And the last one is how the basket looks like. The mud basket that just stops you from like stop the poles from falling into mud and things. So those are my criteria. So for sturdiness, that kind of goes on to like a couple of points. I have chosen this being a straight pole. It is a pole that doesn't fold away. I chose that because, well, for poles that fold away, well, there will of course always be weak points in here, and like you just don't know that after a few years or like however many uses you have, whether that is just going to like have some weakness in it. It's quite difficult to keep track of. So I think given that I just really want to make sure everything is safe, I went for straight poles. And that is also on top of, because I have already bought a large rucksack that can't go onto the flight with me, that I have to like put on, what do you call that, carry luggage. So then I thought, well, the fact that it can fold away doesn't really benefit me anymore. Because like, why do I want to fold it away? Like for the whole of the trip, I'm gonna use it. It's only like say the last 15 minutes or half an hour when you walk back to your car or whatnot that you may want to fold it away, but by that point you're already walking on tarmac. So why do you want to give yourself a bit of convenience when you're already on the most, like the easiest part of the route? Surely like your goal should be like give yourself as much safety and like niceness and like easy journey as possible during the actual walk, not like the part that you go back to the car. So that is why I chose a straight poles over a foldable ones. The foldable ones comes in two types. This is called a Z pole, which is linked together by a tension like thread, which you can pull up. If the mechanism of the one that you've chosen is good, you basically pull it up and it should all fall into place, and then you pull the tension string down, and there's a little knot in here that then hold it in place, so the whole of your rod is in tension and it wouldn't collapse anymore. For tension mechanism, what I find that's not very good, like I tried my partner's pole before I bought this pole, so I kind of have benefit of hindsight that if the poles get into quite sticky mud or like get trapped into like in between some rocks, and when you're trying to pull it back up, it kind of loosens like this rather than have the whole pole coming back out. So, well, firstly, it's not a very nice feeling, and it kind of adds to your work, like you're just pulling but it's not coming out when you're already quite tired and having a long day. That's kind of just a little bit that you don't really need to deal with. So yeah, that is the other reason why I chose a straight pole. And also, it also means that over time, as you pull it out over and over again like this, then the tension loosen, and you'll have to like kind of just tie another knot a bit further down to keep the pole kind of still in tension in one piece and stuck together. So that's one of the bad things, in my opinion, about the Z poles, which like, well, if you really like the foldability of it, then maybe it's not really a good issue for you. The other poles foldable option is telescope poles, which like there's this bit of hinge that then you can extend it out bit by bit. That hasn't got the problem of like pulling out and losing the tension, but like over time the hinge might loosen, which means like you might either, when you put your weight on it, collapse the whole way down and then injure yourself, or maybe when you pull it back out, I don't know, you might actually just pull part of the pole out rather than the whole thing. So, well, so then like, if you could just have a straight pole and deal with like that 15 minutes of inconvenience, then why would you want a pole with hinge anyway? What else about that? Oh yeah, the other thing. Well, if you are a gram counter, then why do you want all these little bits? That all these little things are adding weight for not really much value, if you really want to save all the weight. And especially for the telescope pole, if you're not very tall, then you're actually quite a lot of the poles are like overlapped and you're not using it, and you're like carrying all those weight not using it. And well, it doesn't really matter when you're carrying it and using it. I don't think having them on your hand and not carrying them on your backpack, the weight is that much of an issue. But if you want it foldable, well, you're going to put it on your backpack, then you should be a gram counter and think, well, why do I want to carry all that weight? So yeah, well, for all those reasons, I decided to have a straight one, and I'm proud of that choice. I think that's the right choice. It does give me a little bit of inconvenience of 15 minutes in a big trip, but that doesn't matter. And the second one, which is how long it will last. I've covered that already. With poles with hinges, it's not going to last as long as if it's just one whole piece, which is going to be steady and reliable for a very, very long time. For the grip, well, you don't actually need to use these unless you're walking on like tarmac or solid ground. So like if you're going on a hike, I'd just leave them at home. These are kind of only useful if you're kind of like, this is also for Nordic walk, which is just for people doing fast-paced walk, which this might be quite useful if you're walking on like proper ground. So there are in general two types of tips. One is called, let me look at my note, I've forgotten what they're called. One is called a speed spike, which is this, like pointy and a bit sharp, and the other one's called a blunt tip, which is generally round and well, it's not sharp, it's a bit more blunt. I think like the speed bike actually, like you press it onto the ground in this direction and the rock goes kind of here, and it gives you quite a lot more grip on rocks of different surfaces, different like kind of rough surface, whereas the blunt tip, it doesn't grip as well. Well, the benefit of the blunt tip is that like it's not going to damage your other gear. These you kind of have to be careful with it, especially if your other gear are expensive. It might actually poke into your rucksack or something, so that is kind of a little bit of an inconvenience. But I want to enjoy the hike experience as much as possible, and I am generally reasonably careful, so I don't mind that it might damage my gear. Whereas when you compare to Andy the other day kind of like throw this pole like a javelin to the tent and just destroy it, even though it's got a blunt bit. So it's kind of completely dependent on your personality. I think having something sharp is fine. When I research it, some benefit that's shown online is that, well, this you can use as a defense tool if you ever need to. Well, maybe. I wouldn't really recommend that. So now it comes to my last point, which is the basket. These baskets are actually like all in one. It comes like it is stuck onto the tip itself. You can't take it out, which for me is a big benefit. Like I don't really see the benefit of being able to take the basket out when you don't need to use a basket. Why don't you just, well, I suppose if you have a foldable poles, then when you fold it down, you don't want it to be in the way, so you want to take that basket out. But like when I use poles or ski poles with baskets, I just lose them. Like I never actually get to use them anyway. So the fact that they're here, and I'll just let them be here, and they're a little bit smaller than a normal basket. So yeah, I think I prefer it like this so that I just don't have to worry about it. Also come with these poles, is, as the name says, the Autoclip. It's not really my search criteria. I didn't really know, I don't know what to expect about the Autoclip anyway, but I thought I'd just show you. These straps are like Velcro straps that you put your hand into, and you strap it on based on if you're going downhill, then loosen it, and like if you're going uphill, put it as tight as possible. And at first I find that, well, this is just silly, like it takes so much longer to get out compared to just like a loop. But then I realized, okay, the Autoclip actually means if you take it up here, release, and you get your hand back to like fiddle around, search for whatever you need in your backpack, and once you're done, you push it back and clip it back on, and then you're attached to the pole again. Yeah, I quite like it. I find it quite reliable when I just when I become tired and I don't want to grip onto the pole anymore, but I just lean on my, like the back of my hand. So like I don't actually need to grip anything. I like, so long as my hand's in this part, I'm just already holding the pole. Yeah, so I really like and enjoy this Raidlight poles. I got it at a good discount of like just £26 per pair. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, yeah, when I mentioned that this is super lightweight, this is like 260 gram for two, like for the pair, which is exceptionally lightweight. Most poles would be like double of that weight. Yeah, lightweight also kind of means that like it is more fragile. But given that this is a one piece, I don't think it will be a problem. It's made of 55% carbon and 45% fiberglass, which I think is quite a good material in terms of strength, and strength and weight ratio. Yeah, I got it at a great discount of £26 on the Raidlight official website itself. But I think right now they go back to about £44, and when they're full price, they're about like £70 or something like that. So at full price, they're expensive, but when you can catch a deal, it's a really good price. Whereas my partner's one, you can find on Amazon, they're about £40, and they're basically standard price, and yeah, it wouldn't go any higher, I don't think. These are pretty good as well if you're looking for one that is foldable. Yeah, I'll put a link of both in down below. Yeah, so happy searching, and if you find anything or any criteria that I should be looking into, give me a comment, and yeah, just look forward to connecting with you guys. Thank you. I'll see you next time.